Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Pisces, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of August 2025. I hope you're well. I'm using the Sufi Tarot for you today. Before we begin, if the reading resonates with you and you would like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That's via the link in the description box that takes you to Selfie. Alternatively, you can come over to Circle and join my private community where you can get access to all the extended content that I do for everything, including weekly energy readings and whatnot. Hang out with an extraordinary group of people and take part in the classes that we run over there too. So if that sounds like it might be of interest to you, you know what to do with that link. Right, Pisces, let's get your reading done. The reason that I'm saying it like that is not only is it horrifically hot here today, but this is also the third attempt that I've had at doing your reading, because the first time I prattled on for nearly 20 minutes before I realised that I wasn't actually recording. I was devastated, can't even tell you. The second time the camera shut down and now we're here. So yeah, right, let's give these 5 shuffles. 5, whoa, 4, 3, let's do a big one for the second one. Yeah, and 1. Tidy them up. The cut is here, and so your cards are. In your recent past we have the Fool. In your current energy we have Temperance, and what's coming towards you for August is the 7 of Cups. Now, if it was anyone other than you, I think I'd be quite concerned about that 7 of Cups, but I've done enough of the readings for August to see that there's a bit of a stratification going on in terms of the realities that are being lived right now. And with the exception of perhaps Leo and maybe Virgo, because I haven't done Virgos yet, but certainly they were kind of struggling with some stuff in July, there seems to be an orientation towards service for the other signs. And so I'm seeing some kind of crappy stuff going on in the background that seems to be, by and large, the way that, you know, the majority are kind of understanding and experiencing what is going on. And then we have the teachers and the leaders and the guides who are emerging, who seem to be living a very, very different kind of reality to everybody else. Nevertheless, what do we have at the bottom of the deck here? We've got the 3 of Pentacles. Now, to be clear, the shadow card at the bottom of the deck is the one that gives us a theme, an underlying theme for the entire reading, right? And the 3 of Pentacles specifically is with regard to cooperation and collaboration. We are now in a process of building. Now, to some people, it may seem that we are still very much immersed in the entropic state, and we are. We are, for sure. But I'm starting to see a kind of a order that is emerging here, and it's not one that is predicated on any kind of stability that comes from things not falling down anymore. But it's all the stuff being put in place so that we can start helping people shift over to a new reality, quite regardless of what happens to be going on outside. My little weather monitor thing has just informed me that it's now 29 degrees in here and 41 degrees outside. So if I'm looking a bit shiny, Pisces, that's why. It's fucking warm, and I hope the camera doesn't shut down again. But if it does, this one usually stays on, so we'll be all right. Anywho, so in terms of orienting towards service, you need to know what it is that you're servicing, I guess. And I think the 7 of Cups, I don't think belongs to you. In any event, even if it did, I feel like you are much better equipped to navigate 7 of Cups energy than pretty much anybody else, because it's got that Neptunian flavour to it, right? And that's your modern ruling planet, at least, anyway. Oh, I just stopped shuffling the cards, and we've got a 3 of Pentacles there as well. That's a sign. So tell me about the Fool. Why is this here? The Fool is clarified by Temperance. Okay. And we have the 3 of Swords. Interesting. And it's very, very interesting because, who else? Gemini, another mutable sign like you, right, who helps people with the transition. It's about energy transition, mutable signage. Also got this this same card, and I think to some extent I'm already starting to see a commonality across certainly between you and Gemini, if not anybody else. 8 of Pentacles to clarify the Temperance card. 10 of Pentacles and the World. Very, very interesting, because in the first reading that I did for you, we got 10 of Pentacles, no, 10 of Cups and Death was sitting there, right? But in both instances, we're talking about endings, we're talking about completions, we're talking about movement. So, 7 of Cups, why is this here for Pisces? 5 of Cups. And the 5 of Pentacles. Right. Look at the cards on the table and tell me that you're not seeing 2 different realities existing simultaneously here, because this is what I'm seeing very strongly, actually. And this is why I find it so interesting that these all the signs seem to be orienting towards service now. Now, some of you may recall, I may have mentioned it, I may have not. I certainly mentioned it in some readings, and I did do a video for the channel members about this. I have had an increasingly strong feeling over the course of the last few months that July, rather than any other month, was the one that seemed to mark the tipping point. Something fundamentally changing at that time. Which then in August probably would warrant some sort of unpacking, reconciling, some sort of an attempt to understand what has happened. And I have absolutely no basis for that feeling. I want to make that really, really clear. Like, it's not like the astrology is like, oh God, everything's fucked, or anything like that. It's just July has been winking at me. At the point of recording this, I am not sure whether, what I vaguely feel has played out in any sort of way, but I am seeing reactive energies showing up in August that I am fairly certain do not belong to the sign that I'm recording for, which leads me to think that there has been some sort of thing that has occurred in July, God knows what it is, that people are reacting to now, and that there is some sort of there's an insubstantiality about reality that we seem to be experiencing, but there's a very definite cluttering going on as people's preconceived notions of what reality is are actually starting to fall away. Whether it's Neptune being in Aries, Neptune conjunct Saturn also in Aries. I feel like Saturn's going to be stationing direct in August, possibly. I don't know. Stationing retrograde, my bad, sorry. But I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to go look up the dates. There we go, we've lost the camera. I knew it was going to happen. Oh. Okay. Oh, it's back. Amazing. All right. Hopefully it won't pause on some terrible face that I'm pulling, because you're probably going to have to look at that for the rest of the reading, because the overhead setting is not working anymore. This is what happens when it's just look, Pisces, look at this. Right, 41 degrees outside, 20% humidity, 29 degrees, 29.1 degrees in here. It's fucking warm. Anywho, I digress. This is where the work starts, Pisces, the real work. And when I'm talking about the work, I'm talking about purposeful work. The reason why you are here, why you have been through the things that you have been through up until this point. The result of all the work that you have done being now how we pay it forward for the rest of humanity. You start doing the big purposeful things, I think. I'm kind of putting a lot on the line here to say this feels like it's a reaction to something that I don't know has happened yet. But I mean, that's kind of the nature of what we do, right? So I don't feel it's you. I do not feel a sense of grief, loss, confusion emanating from you. I feel like you are being put in place to field that as it's coming through from other people, right? So cooperation, collaboration, working together with people, yes, but a stronger sense of service more than anything else. You approaching it from a position of service, other people approaching it from a needing of that service. But then we have the Two of Swords, which is a very fascinating card in the context of what we're talking about here, because I don't think anything is going to get any clearer, even if we have people's version of reality absolutely fucking run through by the cold hard steel of truth and fact, which is interesting. It feels like a low level bubbling energy, and I sometimes refer to the Two of Swords as that weird state of not knowing what you don't know, right? But at the same time, there is an awareness of something with the Two of Swords, because we couldn't avoid it so studiously if we didn't know that it was there. But we're progressing from the 2 to the 3 over here, where it seems that more of what is obscured and not seen, whether consciously avoided or, subconsciously avoided, are starting to come to the surface. And it is, I think, our job to begin the process of, like I said, kind of shuttling people across to, it's okay, you're not insane, it's not everything, it's not that everything's breaking down, it's that we're moving into this new state of human consciousness. And I think a lot of the things that you might have kept to yourself, now that there is an audience for those things, Pisces. I mean, we've talked about this a lot in terms of the teacher, the leader, the guide. I know it's not something Pisces necessarily would have chosen for themselves, but the skill set that you have is what absolutely is needed right now. So, let's stop waffling anyway, and let's look at these cards here. So we start off with the Fool. And there it is, and it's a beautiful energy of pure potential. It is also an energy of faith, and it's an energy of trust. It does start, it's the start of the major arcana, right? So there's always an initiatory step when that energy of the Fool runs through. But it's this sense that everything is possible, when everything is aligned, when oh, what was the thing? It's only chaos when you can't perceive the pattern, right? So I think a lot of people are perceiving chaos, which is, sometimes the way the Fool card is portrayed, right? Because it is inherently chaotic. There is no structure, there is no order, everything's bubbling all at once. Because that's how potential is. It's just there and it's ripe for the taking. Depending on your perspective, that's either utterly terrifying or it's an opportunity. And I feel like there's something about Pisces that feels like it's been reborn of late. And I don't know if that's necessarily been, just in the last few months, or whether it's actually been a long, slow process of rebirth and transformation that's had a few signposts along the way to go, oh, okay, I know something really big has shifted here. But looking at it in retrospect, it's like, can you really demarcate it and say, well, there was a little bit of it here and over here, or has it been a consistent process? I think it's been a consistent process for Pisces, and I think the version of you that is out in the world now, that is determined and ready for action, right, heeding the call, as it were, is absolutely thoroughly embracing where we are right now, because it's your wheelhouse, Pisces. What's the word that I'm looking for here? The processing of completion, of endings, of acceptance, right? This is all Piscean stuff before we move into the new cycle that is represented by Aries. And so it makes perfect sense that you would be a really significant player when it came to helping shove everybody along with that, right? And we have the Temperance card here, right? Speaking to the alchemical process of the cosmic washing machine that I talked about with you before a few months ago, Pisces, right? This sense that you kind of suck everything in and you wash it and you clean it and you purify it, and then you hang it out on the line for everybody else to to get the benefit of, right? Pisces always being of service, but you've learned to do it in a way that respects the inherent sense of self that should have been present in you and for whatever reason wasn't, and now it is, right? It is. It's a card of healing, the Temperance card, but it's also a card of balance. It's a card of being aligned. I like the fact that the stork, who is, it has this new thing here that it's bringing along, baby. If you live in the West, that's what people used to tell their kids. The storks brought children along. But it feels like a preparatory moment for the point where people's emotional bubble gets run through by the swords. Like I said, there's a lot of people choosing not to see, subconsciously, consciously, whatever, but being in a state of avoidance that we see with the Two of Swords. I'm not going to entertain that idea. I'm not even going to think about this thing. I'm not going to think that I'm projecting or do it, Humans are complex psychological creatures, but what never ceases to amaze me is the extent to which people can not see something, right? Particularly if they've got a vested interest in not seeing something, right? But I do think that scales are falling from eyes, and I do think that there is a lot that is being exposed, even just in the frustrations of the moment, right? The energies this year have been really, really difficult for a lot of people. And I think it's pushing everybody to that state of tension where the things that they ignore, it's not possible to do that anymore. And actually, we need to start dealing with it with a version of reality that is deeply uncomfortable for most. Now, you Pisces have transcended past that anyway, and now you're in a state where it's new. It's all new, and you are acutely aware that it is new. For you, for sure. But in terms of how you are going to help others then enter this space, not feeling like this, but feeling a little bit more like this, like willing to take responsibility for where it was that they were ignoring things, where it was that their view of reality was completely corrupted, and quite likely missing soul. I'm not saying that people are missing soul. I mean, their life experiences are missing soul. And I think there's something about that fires you up so hard, Pisces. You understand exactly where your work is, your job is. You understand why you've been given what you have in terms of the life experiences that you've got, and even in terms of the latent, innate skills that you've had that are now being activated very, very strongly, right? So when we come into your current energy, we have got the Temperance card right here. We've already had it here, and now it's here. It's almost like it was below the surface, and now it's coming up for everybody to see. It is a dominant state that you are in here. And when I talk about the Temperance card as a healing, almost like a healing mechanism, I do think that there's a way that people are beginning to see you, Pisces. Well, maybe they've always seen you like this, right? It's kind of this world, well, in this world, but not of it. There's something always that has been a little bit ephemeral and a little bit esoteric about Pisces. I think this card does a really beautiful job of kind of portraying that, right? But there's a way in which now what you offer is something that people are actively pursuing. Ever was it thus when it comes to purpose type stuff, right? You just kind of fall into it and people want it and you're like, oh, okay, well, like, I'll help you out with that for sure. Because there's a lot of very difficult energies to navigate, not just that we've been navigating all year, but are in right now and will continue to do so. And I think everybody's in different states of acceptance, but there are very few who are managing a Pisces level of acceptance right now. So there is a guidance that is being sought from those who are more naturally spiritual than ever we've seen, probably in the longest time. And that, like, you seem like an angel to a lot of people, Pisces. Like, there's a purity of spirit, there's a purity of soul. And it doesn't matter what you've done in this lifetime. I'm sure we've all done things that we regret or, whatever. But for you, it's like that consistent connection to spirit, source, universe, God, whatever your word is, creator, take it as it resonates to you. It's like, rather than this just being an internal state that you've held that's felt weird to other people, right, that you wouldn't bother trying to explain too much to other people because they wouldn't get it, it's now becoming something that is almost sitting above and around you. So it's like a beacon. And I feel people coming to find you, Pisces. Now, you may work in an esoteric field, you may be a healer, you almost certainly have some fairly significant healing abilities, Pisces, and if you've never really dug into it, maybe this is a sign that it's a good idea to do so. Because I do feel like everything's kicked up a bit with you. There may well have been an increase in your psychic awareness, your intuition, maybe even just like odd esoteric phenomena happening around you, right? I do feel like all of that has kicked up. And it's been a process for you to learn to handle it, while simultaneously also recognizing that the point at which you are here to fulfill your purpose is imminent, actually. This Temperance card feels like it's expanding your visibility. Did we talk about expansion of visibility last month? I feel like we might have done, or it might have been a different sign. I'm not sure. And I think it's quite interesting that this Angel and Temperance card is kind of there but not there, half in, half out, right? A little bit like Pisces. But the important part of the imagery, which shows you that this is an angel, is gleaming bright and white and can be seen for fucking miles, I would think. It's a very strange thing. Now, the Eight of Pentacles is a card that refers to work and effort and discipline and consistency. But it's also a card for me that speaks very specifically about personal purpose. The very reason why you, Pisces, are here. It talks to a skill set that you have developed over a period of time, and quite frankly something that you are now a master at. It's coming out under the Temperance card. So not only do we have that sense of the equilibrium that is achieved internally, but because I feel like this is emanating out from you quite strongly, we've also got the increased visibility and there is Pisces. I need to go talk to Pisces. I want to know why Pisces is so calm and so cool, and why Pisces just understands what's going on. I mean, maybe you might be an astrologer or something like that as well, right? We could see it being right across the board. But there's even in this kind of half in, half out state that you're in, even in this fucking fly, I'll tell you how many times it has landed on my nose. It's fucking outrageous. Even though there's a part of you that is kind of ephemeral and transparent and whatnot, like, you're standing out and you're getting brighter and brighter and brighter. You are being seen now as someone who seems to be able to navigate this space in a way that other people just can't fucking work out at all. And by extension then, they're going to start looking to you for advice. Now, I feel like we talked about this last month, but we've got some really specific work happening here, right? Together in cooperation and collaboration with other people. Now, these may be other people who are kind of like you. That's possible. But I feel like, particularly with these cards here, we're actually dealing with everybody else. And this is what I'm saying about it being of service now, right? Bringing the healing to people, that which you are a master in. Now, the Ten of Pentacles and the World card, both in their own way, refer to endings of sorts. When we've got the Ten of Pentacles, we've got an end coming to the whole suit of Pentacles, really, right? And the Ten of Pentacles represents stability and security and all that kind of thing, right? So people incur a lot of suffering around the Ten of Cups and the Ten of Pentacles, because when it is time for that thing to evolve and change into something new, they're like, what the fuck, no. I put loads of effort into creating that, and I feel safe in that now, and I don't want it to change. That's where the suffering comes in. It's a similar sort of energy for the Ten of Cups, right? But the World card is confirming that we have endings and completions with something. And generally speaking, the World is an excellent card, right? It talks about graduation. It talks about having done what we needed to do. But I feel this is a little bit more about the world, full stop. Now, I'd like to pull out another card before I say anything else. Let's see which. I'm going to go with the Triple Goddess. Because I'm looking at this and I'm looking at these and I'm like, something's falling away. We've got a Saturn card here. We've got a Saturn card here. These are structural. This is reality. We know you're bouncing around in an almost like non-structured state right now, certainly in terms of your consciousness. It's 10 of Ace of Swords. Right. Ace of Swords, Six of Swords, and the Queen of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. You know, we've got structure and stability and a certain rigidity of the world at large being replaced instead by truth. People don't like that. They don't like anything that shakes them out of their tree. Your job, it seems to me, your purpose rather, let's be a little bit more precise about this, is to recognize where this is beginning to happen. Like I said, I do feel like there is that in some way this energy here is reactionary by other people from something that we see playing out here, right? Where things that looked like they had form, looked like they were solid, looked like they would stand for a long time, are now having to give way, and perhaps they're even collapsing, I don't know, right? Where they're giving way to a kind of truth that is making everybody uncomfortable and nobody wants to fucking deal with it. And yet, in order to shepherd people across in this new higher state of consciousness, like, there are people who are going to have to, you know, do the work. And to some extent I have a lot of sympathy with these people, because we're talking about the kind of work that we've been doing for years, people having to speed run it. Now, we did it ourselves for years by ourselves, and there was nobody really to teach us how to do the thing. But we had years to work it out. If people are having to speed run this shit, reality isn't what you think it is. Yes, there is an underlying intelligence that seems to govern the world. You know, whether you think that's simulation theory or a benevolent God or whatever, it doesn't actually really matter. What matters is this, all this stuff here, it's considerably more illusory than the things that are real, and the things that are real are, you know, of the soul. So as all that stuff starts to break down and you're happily dancing in the potential of everything and everybody else is perceiving the chaos, as the structural stuff falls down and it's replaced by truth, there is going to be a way in which you, as a master of your craft, of your skill set, you know, because I'm not just talking to the people who are literally working in the healing modalities for people, right? I'm talking about this in a more kind of broad way than that. You're here to help them through. Now, we've got the Six of Swords here, which is indicating a movement away from. Now, I feel like it's movement away from difficulties that are caused by structural collapse in terms of perceptions of reality. But showing people how to care for themselves in that. Now, when we've got the energy of the Queen of Pentacles, not only does that kind of represent Saturn and so a denser vibration than we're certainly seeing in the energy of the Temperance card up here. It is a realization that we're not yet at a level of consciousness where we're just going to shimmer out of, you know, out of our material state, out of our dense vibration. Like, we still have to be here, and we have to know how to navigate this period of time in a way that honours both the fact that we are souls living a human existence, right? So that we are souls and we're living a human existence. And I do think that this is where you come in, Pisces. I think this is where you are, whether you're expecting it or not, perfectly placed to be the person to step up as a teacher, leader, guide for these people who are having to speed run this process now. Oh. Because as we move into August, we have the Seven of Cups, we have the Five of Cups, and we have the Five of Pentacles. Now, wherever fives show up, and particularly when they show up in a multiplicity like this, we've got incredible instability. And it's instability around emotions, but it's also instability around resources. So we could be talking about money, we could be talking about property, people's homes and things like that. We could be talking about security, stability, all sorts of things, right? But we could also be talking about time and care and effort and attention and focus. And I mention that because this Seven of Cups is a card of confusion and illusion. Like I said, it's quite Neptunian. And I think part of the problem is that there's truths emerging and there's things falling down, but there isn't really a lot of clarity over what that actually means for people. And this is why I think people are coming to you for advice, Pisces, because like, what the fuck does it mean? What are we going to do instead? But we've got this rather chaotic shifting energy around resources and how we are able to look after ourselves and emotions here. Again, I just want to reiterate, Pisces, I don't think for a second this is your energy. I really don't. Because look at you. I mean, I just love this Sufi tarot here, right? But the Fool, the Temperance card, you know, these are solid representations, I think, of where you are right now. And this is everybody else. So what the fuck is happening in July? I don't know. Is it just more intensity of the like that we've been experiencing all year? Possibly. But it does represent, I think, a tipping point where things start to change from this point on. But people need guidance. They need people to help them along with that. So the Seven of Cups is a feeling of not really knowing what you feel about something, right? It is abject confusion. We're talking about people who to some extent or another may be losing their grip on reality just a little bit. And that's reality as we understand it, not reality as they understand it, right? They're being sort of cut adrift from everything that was solid and vibrating at a very dense level. And they don't know that there's anywhere else for them to go. They haven't worked that out yet. Sometimes the Seven of Cups can be the paralysis that comes when we need to make a decision about something. And ultimately what's sitting at the bottom of that is this realization that we don't really know how we feel about anything, right? Is it an information question? A lot of people will probably go down that road. Oh, I don't know enough about this, I need to find out more. Doom scrolling, all that kind of thing, right? But what's really strong about these two cards is the sense of loss. Loss, confusion, illusion, no clarity whatsoever about anything. I mean, we could be talking about some real considerable emotional overwhelm being experienced by people here, as everything is shifting around and they can't quite make sense of what that means. Now, I feel like your energy, light as it is actually very grounding, Pisces, for people to be around. And because I feel like you orienting yourself to this place of service now, which is not costing you in the way that it used to, and is feeling much more like a fulfillment of purpose than anything else, then I feel you taking this role as shepherd, yeah, for sure, to help people through it. It's the Seven of Cups that we've got down there, Seven of Pentacles, and we've got the Page of Swords. Now, the one thing that the number 7, all cards numbered have 7 have in excuse me, have in common with each other is the pursuit of truth. 7 is the number of the seeker. We've got people who are actively pursuing some kind of truth, some kind of meaning, some kind of way of trying to understand what is happening. I should just point out you've got the Seven of Swords at the bottom of the deck here as well. But again, these aren't your cards, Pisces. This is the landscape within which you are moving around. This is the landscape within which your work is being done outside of you to assist other people along. Now we've got the Page of Swords, which for me is about mental expansion, right? So if we've got a reality that is breaking down and illusions, emotional illusions that are all being popping and people kind of tweaking out, to use my Pisces daughter's favourite phrase, right? Absolutely fucking tweaking out about stuff, not knowing how they feel about it, not knowing where they stand in the middle of everything. Then we've got this Page of Swords coming along and saying there is a new way to think about the miracle that it is to be alive. There is a new way to think about universe, consciousness, God, the creator, whatever, right? There is an underlying intelligence here. I'm tapped into it. I'm being you here, Pisces. I'm tapped into it. This is how I remain chill about everything. I recognise that this is all something that needs to happen. But I think people are having trouble discerning truth from fiction. I think that's been something that's been building for a while. I'm sorry, but Neptune in your sign was a fucker for that. Like, huge distortion, right? But now Neptune has moved into Aries. That distortion is warping and molding into something else, and there's aggression, right? There's an aggression in there now. But additionally, Saturn going through your sign also kind of dissolved a lot of the old boundaries, and now we're at a point where nothing really makes sense anymore. People don't know where they are. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what's true. Oh, Jupiter and Gemini, that was the other thing that I was going to say. Fuck me. Talk about a massive expansion of shit with no obvious discernible way of trying to work out what is fucking true and not, right? Well, and so for most of us, that involved us just going within and kind of being there rather than being out here. But I'm saying, like, you seem to be being out here now, Pisces, and as people are looking for guidance, and I think it's the ones that are come looking for you. It's not like you need to go, stand in the middle of a town square with a bell or anything like that. They're coming to find you, Pisces, because you are the epitome of this kind of light energy, and they want to learn from you. Now, I don't know quite how comfortable Pisces is about being at the top of something, right? Being a leader, teacher, guide in a traditional sense. I feel like Pisces would be much happier to be working in tandem with people as they go, with everybody else working together to build something. I feel like this is what it is. Now, whether you are a healer, whether you work in an esoteric modality, or whether you are, I want to say like a normal person, right? Because there's plenty, like, everybody is extraordinary, but there are ways in which this could show up in just ordinary day-to-day life. You might find yourself having really odd conversations with people who want to pick your brain about things, and it might be in the supermarket. You know what I mean? It could be at the school gate when you're picking your kids up from school. It could be anywhere, because the point is, there is now a beacon above your head, Pisces, or a set of wings coming off your shoulders that is inviting those who are ready to start seeing things as they actually are. They're ready to start connecting to something bigger than them. They're coming to find you. You are engaging with your purpose. You are being of service. And Pisces, you're doing it beautifully. It's absolutely stunning. But I do think it's really important that you're aware that in August, your offerings kick up hard, right? Offerings, the universe is sending people to you to come learn from you. And as difficult as it is not to dissociate to fuck sometimes, glitching in and out of material existence, right? You represent the most grounded expression, I think, of spirituality at the moment that most people would be able to put their hands on. And that's what you're helping them navigate. This is what you're helping them traverse this month. Next month, it could be something entirely different. But this month, people are flailing around. They want truth, they don't want truth. They want to know what's going on, they don't want to know what's going on. In amongst all of those, there will be people who are looking for what you can give them in terms of how you understand everything. And this is the process by which people are beginning to be lifted through to the new world. They're not going to get trapped back here. Kind of an odd reading, but it's kind of in tandem. It's running quite well with the way that all of the other readings are going this month, so I'm just going with it. I'm very glad you exist, Pisces. Very, very glad that you exist. And I'm glad that there's a meaning here in everything that you've experienced. I think most Pisces are starting to feel that building, have been feeling that building for a long time. We've got direct applicability for it now, though. So, I'm going to go over to the extended. I'm going to pull some more cards. We're going to look at August specifically. I'm not going to presume to tell you how to deal with all of these things. I just want to let you know what to expect and what's coming up, because Pisces, this job has been given to you, right? You're the expert here. But I just want to help you along as much as I can. So if you'd like to join me, you're very welcome to do so. You can do that on Selfie, or you can do that on Circle. The links for both are in the description box below. Please don't click on the channel memberships if you are looking for extendeds, because that's something different. Okay, the extendeds are on Selfie or they're on Circle, nowhere else. All right. If that's not your thing, that's absolutely fine. It's kind of like it's go time now, though, Pisces. There's an emergent order that starts this month, and you feel like you're part of the point of the spear on this one, you know? All right, I'm going to leave it there. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon.